The person you eat lunch with every day, the one who knows about your weekend plans, the one who vents with you about your manager in the parking lot. That person will not have your back when it actually counts. I know that sounds harsh, and I know it goes against the way most people want to think about their workplace, but it's one of the most consistent patterns in corporate life, and almost nobody talks about it openly until they've already been burned by it. Workplace friendships look like real friendships. They feel like real friendships. But the moment something is at stake, your reputation, a promotion, a serious complaint, a lawsuit, the relationship reveals what it actually was the entire time. And by then, it is way too late to protect yourself because the things you said when you trusted the wrong person are already out there. I'm Dre, and on this channel, we talk about how the workplace actually works underneath the polite version everyone pretends to believe. So today, I'm breaking down the 4 reasons your coworkers are not your friends. And stick with me until the very end, because the 4th one is the most important. It's the one most people only learn the hard way, usually after they've already trusted the wrong person with the wrong information. And by then, there's nothing they can do to take it back. Let's start. The first reason your coworkers are not your friends is that workplace relationships are situational, not chosen. Think about every other friendship in your life. You picked those people. You met them, you liked something about them, and over time, you decided to keep them around. There was selection involved. There was intent. Workplace relationships are the exact opposite. You did not pick the person sitting next to you. Your employer picked them. The team you got assigned to, the project you got pulled into, the desk arrangement, the shift schedule, the open positions during the year you happened to be hired, all of that decided who you spend 40 hours a week with. The relationships that grow out of that environment are not friendships in the traditional sense. They are proximity bonds, and proximity bonds dissolve the moment proximity ends. Watch what happens when someone leaves a job. For about 2 weeks, there are texts and we should grab a drink messages, and then it goes quiet. A month later, the contact list goes untouched. A year later, you'd struggle to remember half of their birthdays. That is not because anyone was fake. It's because the bond was never built on what real friendships are built on. It was built on shared inconvenience. The same fluorescent lights, the same annoying client, the same bad coffee, the same internal politics. Take that shared environment away, and there's nothing structural holding the relationship together. This matters because most people emotionally treat their coworkers as if these are deep, lasting bonds. They confide things, they vent, they overshare. They assume loyalty exists because it feels like it should exist. It doesn't. That foundation, situational, not chosen, is the basis for everything else in this video. So keep it in your head as we move forward, because the next 3 reasons all flow directly from it. The second reason your coworkers are not your friends is that the moment HR starts asking questions, your coworkers are not thinking about you. They are thinking about themselves. And honestly, if you swap places with them, you would probably do the exact same thing. People go to work to get paid. The friendships are a side effect, not the point. So the moment HR opens an investigation, opens a file, or pulls coworkers into a conference room one by one, a very specific instinct kicks in: self-preservation. And self-preservation does not look like solidarity. It looks like sudden memory loss. It looks like, I don't really want to get involved. It looks like vague answers, hedged statements, and shrugs. Picture the situation. You finally report something that's been happening to you. Maybe it's a manager who's been pushing the boundaries of what's acceptable. Maybe it's a pattern of being treated differently from others on your team. You take the risk. You go to HR. You walk through what's been going on, and in your head, you're already counting the people who've witnessed this stuff with you. You assume those people will tell HR what they saw. You assume they're in your corner. They're not. Or more accurately, they might be in your corner emotionally, but the second they sit across from an HR investigator, they get very strategic very fast. Saying anything that supports you means putting a target on their own back. It means being seen by leadership as someone who creates problems for the company. It means risking their next review, their next raise, their next promotion. So they go quiet, or worse, they tilt their answers slightly toward whatever protects the company, because that's where their paychecks come from. This is not betrayal in their minds. It's survival. It just feels like betrayal to the person standing alone in the middle of it. The third reason your coworkers are not your friends is competition. Every workplace is a low-grade competition underneath the surface, even when nobody admits it out loud. There are a limited number of promotions. There are a limited number of high-visibility projects. There is a limited budget for raises and bonuses. Everyone is technically running the same race for the same resources, even when they're smiling at each other in the hallway. And competition is corrosive to friendship in ways most people refuse to see clearly. You can be genuinely warm with someone and still be in direct competition with them for the same role. You can grab lunch with someone every Thursday and still be quietly compared to them by the same manager every quarter. The workplace forces this dynamic. It's structural. It's baked into how performance reviews work, how budgets get allocated, how careers move forward. So when you tell a coworker something in confidence, that you're frustrated with leadership, that you're thinking about leaving, that you struggled with a recent project, that you have a health issue or a family situation affecting your work, you are quietly giving them ammunition. Maybe they never use it. Plenty of people don't. But some absolutely will, especially when they're feeling pressure themselves, especially when something becomes available that you both want, especially when looking better in front of leadership means making someone else look just a little worse. And here's the part that really stings. They might not even do it maliciously. They'll mention something offhand to a manager because it casually highlights that they're more reliable, more committed, more on top of things than you. The damage still gets done. This is why being strategic about what you share at work is not paranoia. It's basic self-protection. You can be friendly. You can be warm. You can be a great teammate. But the things you would only tell a real friend, the doubts, the frustrations, the personal stuff, the plans, those don't belong in the office. They belong with people who are not financially incentivized to ever use that information against you. Now, the fourth reason, and this is the one I really want you to internalize, is what happens when you bring a legal claim against your employer. This is where the workplace friendship illusion breaks completely, and it's the situation that produces the most painful realizations in people's careers. Because by the time you're in this position, you can't undo any of the trust you've already given away. Here's the dynamic. If you ever end up in a real dispute with your employer, a discrimination claim, a wrongful termination case, a wage dispute, a retaliation complaint, the company is going to talk to your coworkers. Their statements can support your case or destroy it. And almost always, the coworkers who are still actively employed at the company will not back you up. Some will go further than that. Some will actively support the company's version of events, even when they know it's not the full truth. There's a clean way to predict this, by the way, and it's worth knowing. The coworker who has already left the company is a completely different person than the coworker who still works there. Once they're gone, the leverage is gone. They might suddenly remember everything they witnessed, suddenly want to help, suddenly have a lot to say. But the coworker who is still on payroll, that person's loyalty is to the paycheck, not to you. And it's important to understand that this isn't because they're cruel or fake. It's because the company is still feeding their family. They have rent. They have a kid in school. They have a mortgage. They have student loans. They are not going to torch a stable income to defend someone they used to grab coffee with. When they have to choose between you and their livelihood, they're choosing the livelihood. Every single time. And here's where it gets darker. In some cases, the coworker won't just stay neutral or quiet. They'll actively help the employer build a case against you, sometimes by repeating the company's framing almost word for word, sometimes by reinterpreting events in the company's favor, and sometimes by sharing things you told them in private, things you said assuming you were talking to a friend. Conversations you had on a bad day, a frustrated text, a complaint you made over drinks, a vent session that you thought ended in the parking lot. Those can all become evidence in someone else's hands. Stories like this come up constantly. People who were absolutely certain a coworker would back them up, only to find out that their so-called friend had been talking to leadership the entire time. Things shared in confidence ending up on the record. Trust used as a weapon. It's not rare, it's the pattern. So when you put all four of these reasons together, the picture becomes very clear. Workplace relationships are situational, not chosen. Under pressure, people protect themselves before they protect you. Competition is always running underneath the surface, even when it looks like everyone is on the same team. And when something serious happens, especially something legal, your coworker's loyalty will go wherever the money goes. None of this means you have to be cold at work. You can be kind. You can be a good teammate. You can build genuine professional relationships. But you have to operate with one rule firmly in place. Your coworkers are not your friends, and treating them like full friends will eventually cost you. Be careful with what you say out loud. Be careful with what you put in writing, especially in chat apps and email, because those things stay forever. Be careful about what you share when you're frustrated, because the version of you that's venting at lunch is creating ammunition for the version of you that might need protection a year from now. Protect your information the way the company protects theirs. Assume nothing said at work actually stays at work. And when the stakes get high, expect people to act in their own interests first, because that's exactly what they're going to do every single time. If this video gave you a sharper way to think about your workplace, do me a favor and hit subscribe. This channel is built around the strategies, patterns, and quiet traps that nobody actually teaches you about corporate life and money. And the people who get ahead are the ones who see the system clearly while everyone else is still believing the polite version. So subscribe, stick around, and I'll see you in the next one.